to 7 in the evening, UK time, and this is a spiritual discussion program. Apologies for our very late start. We've had a few issues. At last we have resolved them, and we can start. So this is, I am Saad in southeast London and in Bromley. The weather here, it has been raining a little bit. Yes, well, we had quite a bit of heavy rain as well today, on and off. And it's overcast right now. The rain has stopped. And with me, as usual, is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and how's the weather where you are?
Well, one is fine. The weather is just like what you have in London.
Okay, very good. So welcome listeners to the spiritual discussion program on Bless Radio. Normally we start at 6 p.m. so apologies for that. We're starting now 6:45 p.m. We'll just decide later what time we'll finish. It's normally 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. we do. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdushin. And we always have a new topic every week. The topic tonight is vigilance. And you can join in the discussion with any question or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail message? The Grail message in the light of truth by Abdushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail message, Abdushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole, without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic we're discussing tonight is vigilance. And you can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. Again, you can which you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Now, Greg, you know, I always like to look in the dictionary, the meaning of the title, and tonight is just one word, it's vigilance. And the dictionary gave this meaning for vigilance: the action or state of keeping careful watch for possible danger or difficulties. So, Gregory, I want to just ask you, is that definition good for our discussion?
It is helpful, but it is not, it doesn't give the holistic picture of what vigilance is.
Okay, so what can be included or added to this definition?
When you repeat the definition, one can see that it talks about, it's one-sided. It talks about vigilance from an external point of view, not from an internal.
Right. So you are saying the definition is given in the dictionary is giving an external point of view, but it doesn't include the internal point of view. So then we need to define what is external and what is internal. So what is mean by external?
If you repeat the definition, then
yes.
I can tell you.
Okay. So the meaning given in the dictionary for vigilance is the action or state of keeping careful watch for possible danger or difficulties. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. He's talking about careful watch for possible dangers or difficulties.
Yes.
So you can see from that picture that that particular person who is keeping watch is watching for externals. Whereas when vigilance is talked about, it must be considered the inflow from external and also the outflow from the individual themselves who have suffered. Only when one considers that external, it can accumulate personality, and also what concerns personality outside, only then can one say there is a holistic approach to vigilance.
Right. Just Gregory, just to tell you from my side, Gregory, your voice, I don't know if it's for the listeners the same thing, but from my side, your voice is going in and out. So I can hear that you're speaking, but some words I hear it more loudly. Let's say every other word I hear loud, and the other words I hear, let's say, in a low volume. So I don't know what to say on that. Just maybe carry on. I can make out what you're saying. But I hope the listeners, I can also hear you properly. So let's carry on as we are for the moment.
Just a second. Let me verify.
So while Gregory is getting ready there, listeners, so what I just want to summarize what Gregory said, or give my understanding of what Gregory said there. He's saying that when we looked at the dictionary definition of vigilance, it was one-sided. It was looking from, let's say, externally, and we need to look at internally as well. And I think what he was making was that there's an inflow, the danger coming to us, I guess, and there's a danger that can come out of us. But I'll ask Gregory to expand on it more. Gregory, so you were talking about inflow and outflow. Could you just go more, say more on that?
When vigilance is talked about, there is the alertness to the streams of impressions from the outside to ensure that one is protected, one is not caught between the bad streams of influence from the outside. That is one part. But to have a complete or a holistic picture of vigilance, one must also add to it the streams that one also utter out into the universe. These streams of impressions go out from the person and also have to return sooner or later. So one must consider both parts.
Good. Somebody's telling me we are not on the air. Oh, no, we are back on the air. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Thanks for that, Gregory. I'm trying to now, think about what you've said there. So, Gregory, this, looking out for danger, you could say, and then receiving I must admit, Gregory, I didn't fully catch what you said, so pardon me if I'm repeating some things.
Okay, let me repeat.
Yes.
From the definition, it mentioned the looking out for danger.
Yes.
Danger is one. What about the streams, the good streams that strengthen the personality? Should we not be vigilant to also pick this?
Right. Thank you.
That has to be considered.
Yes.
These are from the outside. What about the thoughts which we ourselves utter? What about our intuitions? What about our earthly activities, our earthly actions? Those ones proceed from us outwards. Should we not be vigilant about those ones also?
Yes. Now I got your picture much more clearly now. So yes, not not only the danger that is out there, but it's also good streams of, you could say, beneficial things that we can receive, and of course what we generate as well. We need to be vigilant about that as well. So yes, that gives definitely a more holistic picture, like you were pointing to. So we need to be vigilant about all these things. So Gregory, what I'm thinking there, now we have our five senses. We talk about it all the time. When we talk on the grail message, we said there we have our five senses, and then we also have the intuition. Now, so are these the ways we are supposed to be vigilant, using the five senses and the intuition?
The five senses which are available here to the earthly body for man or woman, these are only channel which transmits external impressions. These external impressions go forth to the frontal brain. From there, they have an impact. If one is alive, they should have an impact on the back brain. It is the back brain that is the seat of one's intuition that has an impact on the spirit. So these senses are only channels, like sensors, that carry all the impressions, the earthly impressions, to the spirit via one's intuitive perceptions.
So, okay, thank you for that answer. And I'm just thinking, as you said already, we need to look at these things holistically. That's why I thought we need to think about those five senses plus the intuition, working together. So just to make sure we're not missing anything out, are there any other senses that we need to have or use, Gregory, in regard to being vigilant, apart from the five senses and the intuition?
Well, when you mention five senses and intuition,
Sorry, Gregory, we're losing your words there. Just can you start it again?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Just start again.
These five senses are only channels to absorb external sensing, and they then pass it via the frontal brain to the back brain, and from the back brain via the intuition through the spirit. So one can see the connections. You have to make the connections.
Right.
Because without the five senses, how do you then gather the external impressions here on earth?
Right. So what you're saying basically, Gregory, that they all have to, the five senses and the intuition, they all need to work together. It's like, it's a process, for you to get that picture, and so all of these, let's say, various channels, as we put it, or you put it, need to be working together.
Of course.
Yes. So now, the more I think about it, I'm just trying to think of something like a picture, an example. So now, Gregory, let me go a little bit sideways, you can say. People sometimes they get cancer or some sort of very, let's say, I don't know what the word is, but a very terrible disease, let's say, which they just discover, they don't have any sensing of it like prior, and then suddenly something happens, some symptom comes out, and then they do a test and they discover that, right? So what I was wondering, is there a way to be vigilant, before, well, let's say, of the danger of that disease, like cancer, coming? Is there a possibility of a prior warning of it before these physical sort of manifestation happens?
There is always, or there has always been, a sensing, or one may refer to a warning. The challenge is that man is sometimes incapable of it based on his activities. Only him or her who has been very observant, who has been very vigilant, may notice changes which are bound to come. So it is the activities of man, albeit sometimes via his blood radiation, that he or she is able to pick or to sense some of these things which abound within the human personality.
Thank you for that. I don't know, there's a little bit of, like say, scratching or something going on in the background, so if they can put that away, it'll be good. Thank you for that, Gregory. I'm thinking also, Gregory, there's so many questions coming to my mind, and I'm thinking, every human being is different. Yes, we all have our, eyes, ears, all the senses that is common to a human being. They are there, but obviously some people are more, let's say, sharp in their senses than others, let's say, in many ways. Now, what I'm wondering there, Gregory, is that can each individual be that vigilant to sort of be aware of all the dangers that they might face, or is it we need other people, other fellow human beings who are, let's say, more sharper in their senses to pick up some things, some dangers which, let's say, you as on your own wouldn't pick up. So some danger that you might face, but you will not pick up because that you don't have that level of ability of your senses are not sharp enough. But some other human being may have sharper senses who, let's say, be close to you, who may be let's say, close to you in terms of contact, may be sharper, and they might be able to pick up. So my question really is, can one individual pick up all the danger that they might face, or do we need to work with someone else, maybe who's more sharper, to help us to discover certain dangers?
All human personalities are granted through the intuitive perception, which is the expression of spiritual activity. All human personalities have been endowed with these abilities. The challenge is how they themselves use these abilities. It is the how which is now expressed in some people being sharper than the other. In that particular scenario, it's only fair to consider one for all and all for one.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Now, let's look at the animal kingdom, Gregory. We know where there's a hunting animal and there's let's say, one is the food or prey that animal is hunting. And obviously, vigilance is very key there, because it's like a game. One is trying to catch the other, and the other one's trying to escape. Obviously, sometimes they succeed. The animal succeeds in hunting down this food or that they're hunting down, and many times they don't succeed. And obviously, vigilance is a key thing there. And so I'm just thinking, Gregory, the animals, we know they have some sharper senses than man in some ways. They're sharper. I'm just trying to think. So what I'm trying to say, Gregory, what I would like to just, maybe as a comparison, do the these level of development of these senses, Gregory, the animals, have they developed it themselves, or is it something they carry as their, whatever species they happen to be? Is it something innate in them, or is it something that they have developed with their sense, their sense of senses?
The animals belong to the species of the animistic, and their sensing is tied very close to the animistic. Man belongs to the spiritual species, and man is therefore granted the intuitive perception to communicate, to also interact here on earth or hereafter. So the laws, which and yet the animistics are different. There, vigilance, though similar to what you have here, similar to what man has, is of a different kind. There, you will find that the alertness which they themselves cultivate is holistic.
Thank you, Gregory. There's a little bit of background sound there, but anyway, we could hear you. That's the good thing. Now, I want to understand, Gregory, you said at the beginning, there's the vigilance, we need to think about receiving, not to only concern ourselves with dangers, but also, you could say, like blessings come to us. And then, that's coming, that receiving, and also we have our own things like thoughts also that come out of us. And we need to be vigilant about all of these. So what I want to understand, so it's not always danger. We know vigilance, we think of first of all, in our first thinking about it, we might think of it as a danger, but it's not always danger, it's also blessings. So now, Gregory, let me try to work out what is the order in that we should give priority, let's say, in, let's say, tuning in or focusing our vigilance. Are we supposed to, Gregory, focus with our earthly senses on the earth more than the intuition, which is spiritual, or we're meant to use the spiritual sense more and the earthly sense less? Is there a priority? What I'm trying to ask, Gregory, and this is talking about functioning on the earth.
Man on earth is a being that uses the physical body, but the inner core is of spirit. The spirit is that which is of permanence, which transcends the earth, and therefore it is number one. Therefore, the intuitive perception is the first. The manifestation of some of these, what has been perceived, they come much, much later. It is only fair that the human personality develops itself in such a way that it is then ready to have measures which will be beneficial or countermeasures.
Thank you. And I'm just thinking, so we talked about receiving, like inflow and outflow. So I just want to understand that a bit more. Yes, so Gregory, I'm trying to think of something that is inflow, because normally, Gregory, we look out, the danger is you're looking out for danger, right? And so I want to ask you, what example is there where we receive something, inflow, that we need to, so you could say tune into that or be vigilant about? What is it that we are supposed to receive?
Maybe one should use the concept in music, where something strikes the personality or the composer, something strikes the composer, and that becomes the first step. Now the composer will need to use that impression, use that impression in such a way that it can be manifested here on earth. Otherwise, that impression that it has received, so-called musically, if not expressed, then you will find it remains with the person. So, in expressing, that means putting out, putting forth, that in themselves, they are able then to compose the piece of music which makes the person happy. So that is a very clear example.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for that, Gregory. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's a Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. And the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdushin. And if you are interested in knowing more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. And as I said, you're listening to Bless Radio, and we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, that's number 1, .com. Also, you can listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, live stream. That's for the live show. You can also listen to the recording of this show the next day. Again, go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, Grail, message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is Vigilance. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows as well, also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno. That is ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again. And as I mentioned, the topic we're discussing tonight is vigilance. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Now, Gregory, I want to ask you, in the human beings, we have male and female, or man and woman. And I just want to ask, we know the women seem to have a finer intuition. So does that make them more, how can I say, sharper in being vigilant than man? Gregory, I think you're on mute.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, the question I'm asking, Gregory, is we have, obviously in the human beings, we have male and female, and we are aware the female have a sharper intuition than the man. And I was wondering, does that make the woman more perceptive, if I can say that way, in terms of being vigilant than man?
In reality, it should. But it depends on how many a personality, albeit woman, uses that ability granted to her. If it uses the ability in purity, yes, then it brings a benefit to all. If it does not, then that becomes a different scenario.
Okay, so there's a condition on so in a way you can always say so thank you for that answer, Gregory. So I just want to go explore that a bit more. So how should you said women, it should be used in purity. So is there a way, Gregory, to develop that purity? Is there a way to develop the purity so you can get your vigilance is or your intuition is sharper and you're more effective in your vigilance?
The only way that something may be developed is by using that particular ability in accordance with the laws of nature or the laws of creation through which the individual came into existence. So, if they use that ability faithfully in accordance with the laws, then they are willing, or their activities are classified as pure.
Thank you for that. And so it has to be in accordance with the laws of nature or creation, as you've put it. So, Gregory, how do we know what the laws of nature are?
Every human personality, deep within them, sense these laws. They themselves not put their thinking into.
Sorry, Gregory, can you just speak a little bit louder?
Every human personality sense these laws. If these sensing are put into practice, a very simple example, motion is a law in creation. From out of motion has arisen the reciprocal activity. So, if in their activities they also consider that which is reciprocal in the sense that it will bring benefit not only to them, but also their neighbors. By neighbors, one is not talking about the person next door. That is only part of it. By neighbors, one is referring to those human personalities who connect, those human personalities whom, like him or her, are striving to develop themselves in order to make a headway in their maturity to go back home home in paradise. So that is the aim. Once the human personality has that within themselves, then should help others, or they should be as kind to others as they want others to be kind to them. That is one part of it. However, if the human personality does not do that and takes life for perfect
Oh, Gregory, we've lost your voice. Um, have you finished?
Hello, can you hear me at all?
Now you're back. You're back now.
I didn't stop at all.
Okay, yeah, just the last couple of seconds only we lost.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes, now it's back. You're back now.
Can you re-ask the question so that both?
Yes, I was asking. Okay, the question I was asking before, which you were answering, which I most of it we got that, was about the laws. How do you know what the laws are? The laws of nature. So you answered. I don't know if you had finished answering that.
The laws of nature are intrinsic to the human personality. Intrinsic in the sense that the human personality started as an unconscious spirit gem and needs to mature. Just as one personality needs to mature, he or she must recognize that others also need to mature. And that being the case, it has to be one for all and all for one. That should be the starting point.
Thank you for that. And when you mentioned that we started life as unconscious, and we know from our many shows that the aim is to become from unconscious spirit seed to become a self-conscious spirit being, you can say, fully developed spiritual being, conscious, self-conscious. So what I want to ask Gregory, with regards to being vigilant, surely the level of your vigilance depends according to the level of your consciousness, because obviously the more conscious you are, the more you can sense, isn't it? Now, what I'm wondering, Gregory, are we always in the right level of consciousness according to the environment that we're in? So, let's give a silly example. When there's a baby, he's in the hands of his parents, his or her parents. And so the parents are taking care of him, all the, let's say, dangers or helps that he or she needs. So there, it doesn't need to be so much conscious, let's say. But when you are, I'm just using that as a starting point. And but as we, let's say, get older and, adults, and we have different situations, we could be, we could be going through different experiences in our life, which might affect our level of consciousness, where we are about things. So my question on this, Gregory, is, let's say, do we have the level of consciousness at any one time to deal with the situation that we might face? Is there like a just, how can I call it, a fair, I'm going to use the word fair, meaning that that we are capable of handling any situation with the level of consciousness we have at that point? Or can there be a situation where we are not having enough consciousness, and and this is about vigilance, of course, that's what I mean when I ask this question. So I don't know if you understood what I said there, Gregory.
Well, a bit convoluted.
Okay, let me say it again. So what I'm saying is
Right.
In any particular situation, does the human being have the right level of consciousness to be vigilant in that environment?
When one refers to vigilance, vigilance is more of a response to the challenges that might accost the human personality. In that particular case, one should always note that creation or nature returns to each individual that which they themselves have sown in the past. When you mention the case of a child, as you very well know or may not know, children, until they reach the age of maturity, enjoy more protection until they get to a particular age where the reactions of their past sowing are returned to them, albeit in a gradual way, such that they then have to respond. But these returns are placed in a step-by-step manner, not just in an arbitrary manner. So, yes, the human personality in any scenario is capable of using its ability to find out what the will of the Almighty is at that particular moment. However, only through continuous use in assessing the challenge, in striving to make sense of these different, of these manifold impressions, only when the human personality strives to arrange them in such a way that they resonate within these laws of creation, only then can they make progress. Very sadly, most of the time, many only consider arbitrariness within the laws of creation. And that is why they cannot make sense of it.
Thank you for that answer, Gregory, and the picture you painted. The more we discuss this topic of vigilance, everything has to be understood in the right context. So thank you for, bringing out those points, I can say. Now, I want to think about something. Something a little bit unusual, you could say, Gregory. When we are sleeping, can we be vigilant at that time?
When one is asleep, the external five senses are not as active as they should be. It's a partial shutdown. Vigilance is not tied to the senses alone. There is vigilance in intuition, there is vigilance in thoughts, and there is vigilance in the gross material activities of man. These three areas must be called for use for the human personality. So sleeping or not sleeping becomes immaterial.
Thank you for that. Now, what I want to ask now, Gregory, is vigilance, is it more required for because we are on this earth, Gregory? Because remember, we are spiritual beings, and we're living on a world of matter, the physical world, and so we're not, let's say, in our home world, and we already we know we have the five senses, which are all, you could say, to do with the matter, sensing material things, you can say. So is what I'm asking is vigilance only necessary or required for the earth life, or do we need it also in the, let's say, other worlds that we have traveled through?
One will pose a counter question, and that is vigilance must be talked about. It only means that the human personality must be sensitive in itself to
Sorry, Gregory, just now your voice went there. So just say, you're talking about being sensitive.
The human personality must be sensitive to the streams of power. Being vigilant means it is able to resonate with these streams of power. So, as it rises higher, it becomes more and more vigilant to be able to resonate with these streams of power and make use of it within the environment. So, vigilance is for all the spheres, even more so when the human spirit is back home in paradise as a self-conscious human spirit.
Thank you again for this answer and picture, Gregory. There's, let's say, a common thing we say, as above, so below. So sometimes we might think, oh, this is only earthly and not in the higher worlds, the spiritual world or so on. But certain things definitely are in both. So, and this is what we are talking about here, about vigilance. Now, we're talking, let's see. I'm going to slightly change our direction, Gregory, because there's something in the recent news in the UK, and I just want us to examine that as well. So, on Friday, the UK Chancellor made what they call a mini budget statement, although it was a very big financial sort of direction that the country is taking. And it has been said that, and this is the government making this, you could say, policy and direction for economic direction, financial direction, about taxes, and many thought, oh, they're doing this ideologically, and it's like it's just like a blind belief in that ideology, rather than following something more like practical, realistic in the current circumstances. And let's say there was a reaction from the financial markets, that they were quite concerned, if this was the right direction for the country. And obviously it has a significant impact on the population. And so my question on that is, Gregory, and just to give a bit more picture about it, so that just in case people are wondering what am I talking about, so the Chancellor decided to cut taxes for everybody, but in this current situation where we have this cost of living crisis and energy prices, and there's quite a high demand where the government needs to spend money as well. So they're borrowing money and they are cutting the taxes. I know this is a earthly issue, but I just want to explore it. So it appears that the government made a decision based on ideological sort of belief or dogma, and but let's say others in the world thought this is a big risk that they're following this policy, economic policy, because it can, if it doesn't work, that is, because they wanted the country to grow from out of recession, which is what's coming up. So they thought this is the best way forward, but many, as I say, thought this is a very risky policy to pursue in this current situation of, you could say, recession and economic crisis we are having now. My question is, Gregory, are we, in terms of vigilance, should we follow a particular, if we have a belief, how can I say, just follow, this is how it's supposed to be, that people should make use of their money themselves freely and rather than be controlled by the government? That might be the belief, let's say here, ideology. Should one follow their belief so ideologically or religiously, as another way to put it, or should they be more, let's say, aware of the current situation and say, actually, I need to adapt it to this, what is the current situation? So that's my question. Should it be an ideological way of acting, or should it be more observing the current situation?
Three basic questions. The financial market, are the rules that they use, are they in accordance with the laws of nature? That's the first question. The second one, the government, are those laws in accordance with the laws of nature? And third, the expectations of the people, are expectations in accordance with the laws of nature? Only when we have resonance of the activities of these three different areas, or from these different areas, only then can one state that there will be healthy of business. Else, not a healthy of business. So what you have is that governments or financial markets, they have built a model that they use in predicting whether those models are in accordance with the laws of creation is a different discussion. Most of these things are just one-sided. Therefore, one is unable to advise anyone in these matters because these laws which they have put in place, be it the government, be it the financial market, and be it the expectations of the human personality, all these, the manifold that have sprung from these manifolds are inconsistent with themselves. So it means if you look at the so-called financial markets, are the laws self-consistent? That is left for them to say. The same thing with the government and also the expectations. For those things which are not consistent or self-consistent or consistent with the laws of nature, they themselves, those activities will implode. Therefore, the parties you mentioned, financial markets you mentioned, government you mentioned and the people and their expectation should strive in accordance with the laws of creation to ensure that there is one for all and all for one. Then there will be no need for complaints.
Thank you for this answer, Gregory. But as soon as you answered, started talking about it, I just realized, well, everybody's coming from their own angle. Expectation, as you said, people have their own expectation. Government has its own ways, and then there's the market also having their own ways. And I'm not even sure they consider what the laws of nature are when they are, making their decisions or expectations. And I think that they're going on their own experiences, or what they even like. It's almost theoretical in how they approach. Well, maybe, let's say it is more based on their experiences than just theory. And but whether they're considering this one which you just mentioned, all for one and one for all, I think is highly unlikely. Everybody seems to be interested in their own self-interest.
If I may comment, if it is based on their own experiences, how come they keep having, the financial market crashing? After all, they are supposed to have built a very strong model. On many occasions, you have crash upon crash upon crash of the financial market. These crashes are living proof that the laws which they themselves have put in there are inconsistent with the laws of nature. Therefore, one cannot use the models which they have put forth as an ideal and even self-consistent or consistent with laws of nature. The same thing with government. The sort of rules they put out there, not to talk of the expectations of persons, which expectations most of the time is that they wish to take out from the common good. They wish to take the best out from the common good and put nothing back into it for a balance. So this quagmire that has arisen is only due to the views and the activities of men, of government, and of the financial markets.
Thanks for that intervention there, Gregory. It just shows the focus, where people are coming from in, let's say, the world we live, and where it's supposed to be. No wonder we have our problems when we don't even think about the laws of nature. We just do what we want to do, or what we think is the way it's supposed to be. And it's like trying to live in a world of your own rather than the reality. So, but yes, that's why when you mentioned all for one and one for all, immediately you sense, oh yes, there's a win-win situation. That gives you immediately a good sense, feeling that, oh yes, that can work, this will give us a good result. But when people approach, from this one side or that side, even you hear the word one side, you can see, that means the other side is at the expense of the other side. So it's very clear these things are not going to work when they are not in accordance with the laws of nature, the law of balance, you can say. There's no balance. Now, another thing I want to talk about, Gregory, with government, because so far we've been talking about the individual and people, and let's say we, again, now I want to bring in the government into this one, which is to say, they say the government has the first responsibility for the protection of its citizens. And, in recent times we've had terrorism, which has led to high level of security measures and even intelligence services, you could say taking surveillance on the public and of our activities, communications and so on. And then where again there's this view, is that the right approach, because it's an invasion of our privacy and freedom. And so what I'm wondering, Gregory, the question I want to ask on this matter is, with regards to vigilance and in terms of protecting ourselves, is it the responsibility, our own personal responsibility, or is it the government also responsible?
Vigilance basically applies to human personality. What one refers to government, that only came into existence in accordance with the laws of attraction, homogeneity. Therefore, you have attraction, places of or centers of attraction, which then define themselves as nations or nation states. So, with that, one can already see where things are headed. What has been defined as nations have been done in such a way such that only very few who fall within the parameters of their own personal decisions are considered. That's one for all and all for one means a lot for everybody. It doesn't mean it has to be personal alone. One should be vigilant not only for oneself, but also for one's neighborhood. This simple example, which has happened many a time, when evil approaches a personality, others around the neighborhood, a blind eye, they do not mean to help that person that evil has visited. Before long, that person is taken out. And then evil now approaches the second person. Because the first person has been taken out, now the second person has no other person to support, cannot unite in fighting that which is evil. You find it in wars, you find it in society. One for all and all for one means to love thy neighbor as thyself in all your activities. Only through one for all and all for one can there be the right support for the human personality to mature. Else, the laws of nature would have ensured that each human personality had its own universe, has its own vegetation where it needed to mature, should have come into the earth on its own. That is not the case, or that cannot be the case. So in our intuition, one must ensure that in our strivings, our activities should be such that it not only benefits us, but is also beneficial to the neighborhood and all those that constitute the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Hello?
Sorry about that. Thank you for the answer there, Gregory. I was on mute there. I've received a question from a listener, and it's in reference to the financial, and government decisions that were made by the UK government, and but they're putting it in a more general sort of world outlook, you could say. So the question they've asked here: is this time of financial crashing not predicted as a sign of these times? And they've got a further question: how can individuals do their bit to help make things less bad, so there's no or there's no point? So let me just repeat that one. So the listener is asking: is this time of financial crashing not predicted as a sign of these times? Let me ask that first, Gregory.
It is said, by their activities, they reveal how they stand. If by that it's a sign of the times, it only means that due to the activities of the human personalities as a group, they have precipitated through their activities of the past and of the present, the current scenario. Of course, there are challenges as usual. But how does the human personality respond to a challenge? It is the how that helps him or her to mature. So it is not sufficient to say these are signs of the times. Of course, they are one of the signs of the times. However, if the human personality responds to it in the sense that has been stressed again and again, one for all and all for one, first in his intuitions or her intuitions, in his thoughts or her thoughts, and finally in manifesting these noble intuitions and thoughts on that which is then physical, then gradually the ethereal environment will purify that which is ignoble, in which the streams of ignoble activity will be swept aside or will disintegrate. What you find happening is one personality or one government planning all sorts of ways to either cheat or to punish another. And that is why these precipitates abound here and there.
Thank you for that, Gregory. We're going to carry on a little bit longer today, Gregory, because we started quite late, so I haven't quite decided exactly how long we'll carry on. Is it okay with you to carry on?
Let's go on.
Yes. I've got another question now. Thank you for that answer, Gregory. And the second question that the listener had, which I think you've answered it, so I'll just say it anyway. How can individuals do their bit to help make things less bad, or is there no point? So I think did you want to say something further? I think you did answer it, actually.
Again and again, there has always been the advice to keep the heart of your thoughts pure. This only means in your own personal strivings, ensure that your thoughts are noble. They also resonate with the laws of creation, not only in helping yourself, but also helping people. This is what refers to as all for one and all for one. I mean, one for all and all for one.
Thank you for that. And dear listeners, I just thank you for that, Gregory. I just want to remind listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. Usually we start 6 p.m. UK time and finish at 8 p.m. UK time, but tonight we started a bit late, well, quite a bit late. So we'll carry on, I think maybe another half an hour tonight, so 8:30 we will finish. And the aim of this show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdrushin. And if you are interested in knowing more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And you're listening to Bless Radio, as I said, and we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1.com. Also, you can listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space, live stream. That's for the live show. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day, again on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space, Grail message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is Vigilance. And of course you can listen to our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno. That is ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, again the number 1. And as I mentioned, the topic we're discussing tonight is vigilance. If you want to join in the discussion with any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text or use WhatsApp. Now, Gregory, I mentioned about health, and now I'm going to talk. Oh, one moment, please. Apologies, I had a little interruption. So, yes, I was talking about health, looking after our health. And one of the important things about health is, of course, food. So, in the modern world that we live, Gregory, we have this mass production of food, processed food and other such food, to feed the masses at cheap prices. And but in reality, this food is known not to be truly healthy. I'm talking some of it, not every case, but because the most of the population wants, the food at a reasonably cheap price, and then they leave it to the government to sort of safeguard its quality and safety. And I want to say, Gregory, most of the population in this matter are not really, you can say, being vigilant about their food, the quality of what they're eating in their food, or what they're buying. And so, as I said, they leave it to the government. And my question on that is, how can we, Firstly, I want to ask, as I said, most of the people are not even aware They just assume that, okay, this is a good quality. And so my question on that is, how can Gregory people realize that, because they might be just making assumptions about what they're getting, because, let's say they don't hear any stories that, there's something they can get better than that. So, because let's say it's mass produced and the world is accepting that. So how can Gregory we can become aware of what we are eating in this mass produced food?
It is quite remarkable that one discusses food. Even before discussing food, what about the environment? What about the car pollution? What about the thought pollution? The pollutions from within our head in the ethereal environment. The pollution of the fossil fuels that are burnt. Are people not aware of that? So these are the questions. Only when one is proactive in one's reflection, only then can these things become manifest, because that becomes part of vigilance in your seeking for that which is noble. These can only be solved by applying wholeheartedly the laws of creation, the laws of nature, in our everyday activities. In order to enable one to do that, the gift of virtues, which virtues have been sown in the human personality, these virtues need to be cultivated. It is these virtues that calls for vigilance, that calls for diligence, that calls for modesty. And in following these virtues, then ways will open up. Which ways that open up that enable us to minimize the adverse effects of the sort of poisonous foods we have been eating, and also the poisonous air we'll be breathing in. Very sadly, only through the effects of the coronavirus did we then understand how far things have become. So it is not only the foods, it is not only the government. The governments may only tell you as much as they know. The others, they may not know. You do not expect somebody to tell you that which they do not know, or which they themselves cannot justify or, articulate. Most of the time, what you refer to as government are only a group of people who listen to the modeling of other people and then they echo it. That does not mean that those in government are any wiser. Although, if they are to, sort of align their activities on simplicity, on humility and wisdom, many a time, a lot of the challenges which abound can easily be solved because there'll be consensus. Then the adage we keep stressing, one for all and all for one, becomes self-evident.
Thank you again for this answer, Gregory. Bringing our focus to look widely. What I'm getting from you is that, it's like we start from a foundation, and the virtues is what we're supposed to build up from, or build up with, and developing our virtues, and then from there, all the other things will fall into place in the right way. And so that's you build a right foundation, then you can expect what you build to stand up right. And if not, then don't be surprised when it collapses. So yeah, thank you for that. And you also mentioned other points about environment, and which we are more, let's say, aware of in a funny way, because yes, you hear that in the news a lot, but the food and things, it's also there, but it's somehow not maybe coming up to the front of our attention. So, but they're all connected. That's the point here.
A point I wanted to mention.
Yes.
Now, there is a so-called global food crisis. But when you examine it, that global food crisis already stressed that there is a problem of the distribution of the wealth that has arisen from the earth, distribution of the wealth to different areas. Has one country not invaded another, but they invaded another with kindness, with support, then you would have found that there would have been no food crisis, because it was already sufficient and everybody should have led a contented life. So when you have the virtue, that virtue of support, that virtue of readiness to serve another, then the anomalies which you find here on earth will vanish. If you wish to mention names, before, not long ago, most of the bread you eat, the contents came from one country, or most of it, and everyone was enjoying bread. And of course, when that country was attacked and was shouting, this is what was happening, many didn't even bother. Now, look at the repercussions. Each everyone. The bread prices have gone up. Petrol prices have gone up. So, very simply, all for one, one for all, and the human personality must cultivate this virtue and respect for another. Then, most of the challenges will vanish. They can use the time on their hands to final research which springs from deep within the intuition. These things are possible. These things are doable.
Thank you so much for that answer there, Gregory. And it's like we just need, as we say, walk on the right road to see these things clearly. It looks like the world is, has a set way of seeing things, or they've been seeing it for a long time in a particular way, but that's not giving, let's say, a true picture. And we need to see the holistic picture, as we've said at the beginning. You need to see it holistically, and then it's even straightforward how we're meant to be. Like you say, kind. Why do we go for have war? And you can see the consequences very immediately. In this case, the whole world is being affected, by these actions. So thank you for that. Now, Greg, I want to look at another point in vigilance, again, with looking at danger. Can we be forewarned of every danger, Gregory? Or should we accept that in life there are risks in every situation? So in other words, can we prevent every accident or avoid every danger?
Vigilance alone. Vigilance in one's intuition to be able to perceive.
So sorry, Gregory, can you just speak a bit louder? I just got a bit low there.
Vigilance in one's intuition, vigilance in one's thoughts, vigilance in one's physical activity here on earth, vigilance in the sense of that which assail us, vigilance in the sense of that which we put in creation. For that which we put in creation will grow and will return back to us. If that which we had sown in creation is of ignoble activity, then we should be conscious of it, that only ignoble activities we are going to reap. If, however, we change our inner behavior in our perceptions of our intuition, that is, we put out noble intuitions in accordance with the laws of creation to bring benefit not only to us but to others. One should also consider in our thoughts. Not only do we avoid thoughts which are destructive, we should also cultivate thoughts which are constructive to be of benefit to us and to our neighbors. Also consider our physical activities to be of benefit to us and our neighbor. Once these three different channels are considered, then we are vigilant, and we need not fear anymore that which will return to us. For in accordance with the laws of creation, only that which is homogeneous to our striving will resonate with us subsequently.
Thank you again, Gregory, for that answer. I was just thinking, some of these dangers that we face, they could be taken as challenges to make us grow strong and make progress in our development. Like we think of a baby or a child learning to walk and falling over and then getting up and then, and then able to walk after that, after falling, that's just the way it happens. And so it's like, we sometimes think something is a danger, but it's just a way to get us to be aware of it, you could say, and then overcome it. So would you say that some of these dangers are what we consider are just ways to develop us, to make us stronger?
It is dangerous to have that view. For wars which tend to destroy others for no reason, would one say that is to strengthen the human personality? Again, for a human personality who violates the laws of nature, laws of creation through which he himself or herself came into existence, is that meant to develop the human personality through violations? So it will not be right to hold that view. The human spirit should, first and foremost, cultivate the virtues there is more to it than allowing arbitrary behavior to overtake one. Of course, sometimes it helps to awaken some, but not many. For only those who have the right conceptions and the right views of nature, of creation, may follow that path. But it is the path of the virtues which has been granted the human personality. So, the human personality must make use of the virtues of humility, the virtues of faithfulness, of diligence and heroism, of courage and selflessness, of skills and fulfillment of duty, of wisdom. These are the things that the human personality must develop. All others are complete wastes of their time and their energy.
Thank you again for your answer there, Gregory. Now, everything we said so far, we said vigilance is a good thing. We are meant to be vigilant. But I was wondering, Gregory, can one be over vigilant? And the question would be like, it's like becoming paranoid, worried about something might happening and over worrying, basically. So can we be over vigilant?
In considering vigilance, many people consider that which is advanced. Vigilance also entails the ability to become restraints are beneficial for upbuilding, for constructing durable structures. That is part of vigilance. So, but what is that? And only focus on that is ignoble. Avoiding that which is not beneficial is one part of vigilance. Also, one must strive to recognize the things which are to the human personality. One should remain positive if one follows the path as granted by the virtues. Then most of this worry will vanish.
Okay.
Thanks for this, again, for your answer there, Gregory. Now, I want to, one last question before we finish the show tonight. I'm just thinking, I know you've talked about it a little bit earlier, but I just want to let's explore a bit further. Every human being has a free will given to us by the Creator, and we are not meant to suppress our fellow human beings, in the expression of their free will. But when, let's say, a fellow human being goes astray, should we intervene to sort of how can I say, not prevent the consequences, but to stop the damaging the effect of the damaging, the result of the consequences becoming damaging to the rest of us? Do we have that right, because everybody has the free will to express themselves? Do we have a right to intervene with another human being?
To defend oneself is part of vigilance. And in a community, to be able to make progress, there must be a common agreement, striving in support one and in support to the other. In that particular scenario, each country will not one the other. Is
Sorry, Gregory, we lost your voice there.
yeah.
Okay, you're back.
Then it becomes very clear that that person needs assistance. Many a time you hear that some people are mentally ill, but have they really examined what it means to be mentally ill? One may refer every listener to examine the work in the light of truth for many a concept which has caused so much confusion due to the wrong interpretation. Those concepts can now be put aright. Only from such a sound basis can there be vigorous upbuilding.
Thank you very much for this answer, Gregory. We've come to the end of our show, listeners, and I've been told that there has been some background sound which people have been, sort of interfering with our broadcast. So apologies for that. I wasn't able to work out what it was. So we'll get it resolved for next time. So apologies for that. But hopefully you were able to listen to the show and enjoyed our discussion on the topic of vigilance. And I'd like to end our show tonight, like our usual way, which is to read from the Grail message, the foreword, which is titled, For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I'm addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore, awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Abdrushim. Thank you, listeners, for joining us tonight, and sorry for the late start. Hopefully we will be right, definitely on time next week. It's Tuesday, as usual, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. Gregory, anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing everyone a beautiful week.
Thank you. Same from me, listeners. Have a great week. God bless. Good night. Bye.
All over the world, east, west, north, and south. Anywhere you go, never say you are star. Anywhere you go, never say you are star.